Hey guys, Eric here out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to make really the perfect backswing. There's three really important checkpoints, a couple feels and drills that I want to show you that should really help make your downswing a lot easier. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay, so taking a look at the backswing, we've got two players, Grant on the left, Adam on the right, we like to use as examples. The first place that I really like to look is at this lead arm parallel position. Now you'll see both of these players don't do exactly the same thing. Really the main difference being the depth, but a couple pieces I like to look at here. Number one is the overall shaft plane. So if we draw a line down the shaft with Grant, we can see he's basically right on the golf ball line. We can see with Adam that he's probably just slightly inside, but pretty darn close to the ball line. You can see there's a little bit of a differential in angle there, but they both have those similarities. I like to see for the players that we work with right on this ball target line or just inside for most would be a nice point. So perfect backswing starts with the perfect swing plane, butt of the club on the ball line. The second thing I'm looking at is club face angle. So notice for both of these players, you can see that the toe of the club is slightly to the right. The toe of the club is slightly to the right of the heel. That means the club face is still square. A lot of players I work with open the face too much. Toe gets behind the heel, right? A lot of times the shaft too horizontal, but the toe behind the heel. So part number two to a perfect backswing is ensuring your club face angle. And the third part I would say would be the depth. So Grant has a pretty normal amount of depth. I'd say Adam maybe slightly less than normal. Adam's a little bit more mid-sternum. Grant a little bit more chest bicep. I like the, or pec bicep. I like the pec. I like the right pec as a location for how far in the hand should be at left arm parallel. If you want to make a perfect backswing, swing plane first, club face angle second, making sure you have the depth. If we rehearse that, and I'll show you how to do that over and over. And last little nugget, by about that same time, the lead wrist should be pretty darn flat. So let's go ahead outside and let's talk about how you could put this in your swing.
All right, guys, I want to thank today's sponsor to this video, the Divot Board. Now, this is one of the coolest training aids that I've been trying. I've been trying this for the past couple of weeks. And what this does is helps show you your low point. I have people say all the time, Eric, how do I know when I practice that I'm hitting the ground in the right space? Voila, Divot Board. So how it works here is you put the ball right in the middle, and I'm going to hit some shots, and you're going to be able to see it actually shows you where your club hits the turf. We know one of the fundamental pieces to hitting the ball solid is being able to hit the ground at or in front of the golf ball. Super lightweight, easy to attach to your golf bag if you're practicing on mats or at home. So I like this divot board. I've been testing it out the past couple of weeks. I'm gonna use it for my game. I highly suggest that you would use this as well. We'll put a link down in the description down below. You can check it out. Okay, so there we saw really, when I'm looking at a backswing and checkpoints and how do we know if it's a perfect backswing, I really like to key in on when the left arm's parallel to the ground. And at that positioning, we saw what I would say are three really big checkpoints. Now, with this video in mind, I have two things that I was talking to a player with on CogornoGolf.com about working on their backswing that led to this. And the two things are, in terms of the club, if we focus on the club, a perfect backswing would be a club that's perfectly on plane. So the butt of the club points right on the ball target line or just inside. And a club face that's still square, which would be defined by the toe being just slightly in front of the heel. Those are the two things I'm looking at. Every golf swing I analyze, I'm looking at this halfway back position. I'm looking at the takeaway, of course, but I'm looking at this position at left arm parallel. I say, hey, where's the shaft line? Where's the club face? And then the third little piece we added on there is the depth. So I would consider a perfect backswing at left arm parallel. Let me just throw this in here so we can see this. I would consider the perfect backswing to say the butt of the club is right on this ball target line or just inside of it. So it points right on or just inside. The toe is in front of the heel, which is primarily dictated by my lead wrist or left wrist being flat at this position. And I do want to have some depth. So you'll see different patterns with different depth. I would say as our checkpoint, if I was building this perfect backswing, I like to see the hands basically in line with the right pec, but I see some players like a Rory or an Adam Scott who would get it a little bit more like sternum, so not quite as deep. I don't like to see out over the toe line at all. If you get out over the toe line, you really got to do a lot of work coming down. Can be done, but harder. I think the easiest, kind of work up and down on a neutral plane, is to have it right in line with the pec. A little bit deeper end, more like a Grant model, would go a little bit more bicep. I'd be fine with that as well. But I do like the butt of the club, you know, pointing right on this line. Now in reality, if you pointed slightly outside of that and you came down on a good plane and stayed outside of it, I would be perfectly fine with it, and you should too. But most players I see ride that line. That would be perfect. Or really, if there was a safe zone, you know, if we put a secondary stick in here and I made this maybe 6 inches or so, when I'm practicing, this is what I like to do. So it's probably a 8 inch gap. I want to see this stick, just put an alignment right on the side of the club, point inside of that zone by left arm parallel, left wrist flat, toe in front of the heel, hands in line with the pec. Those are the checkpoints that we want to have a perfect backswing. And the reason that's a perfect backswing is from this position, I got no work to do. My left wrist is already flat, my face is already square, I already have the depth, and the club's already on plane. So I can simply continue turning up to the top and then come back down like normal. It requires no compensation. So the drill that I gave the gentleman that I was working with on our site, and we like to do 2 rehearsals, 1 hit, 2 rehearsals, 1 hit. We started with this drill. I said, hey, let's put an alignment rod or club in line with the ball target line, a secondary one about 6 inches inside, put the alignment rod on the side, and let's get this right in between the two. 1, 2, and then we take this out. I'd like just to do 1 more to feel the same thing. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit with that same sensation. Now, of course, we all know real and feel are 2 different things. So a couple things here. You know, the gentleman that I was working with, he would get the club too flat too early. So when he would make his backswing, this stick would point way outside the ball line. And like everything else golf related, to fix an issue, you have to feel the opposite and exaggerate. So when we were getting the club to work inside this little zone, he really even needed a little more exaggeration. He was still going outside. So I said, all right, for you, you got to go a little bit more. We actually got him to the point where he felt like the stick was pointing more down towards his toe line in his rehearsals, still getting the depth, right? So we're using video in line with the pec, left wrist flat, toe in front of the heel. But he actually had to feel even a little bit more exaggerated, because when we watched the video, we noticed just going inside those sticks wasn't enough. So he felt like, hey, this actually is pointed at my toe line on the way back. 2 rehearsals, take that out. Now when he makes a real swing, just like I want for you, I want the butt of the club to just stay pointed basically on that line. The question is, what do you need to feel to get there? So he had to feel toes. So he told me when he was feeling this, the shaft felt very vertical. It felt much lighter than normal. When you go horizontal, the shaft starts to feel heavy. He felt the butt of the club pointed down towards his toe line. He even said he felt his elbow, we talked about his left elbow being pointed down towards the ground a bit. So 1 or 2 rehearsals, feeling that towards my toe line, hands in line with the pec, toe in front of the heel. And what we noticed when he was doing it on video is that set him up very nicely on the backswing. But, you know, it required some exaggeration. And we just added a little bit of a feeling of bowing the left wrist and twisting the face closed. His tendency would be, like a lot of golfers I see, flat, and see how the toe gets behind the heel. So as he was feeling that it was getting a little bit more vertical, staying in that zone, I had him actually feel like he was twisting the toe in front of the heel slightly. So as we were adding these feels in, where we left his practice plan was, let's do the 2 rehearsals here and just feel like the toe twists a little bit in front of the heel. Now, I want him to do that, and I want you to do it to the degree that you just hit the normal checkpoints. Hands in front of the pec, butt of the club on or inside the ball line, toe in front of the heel. Your job with us as coaches is to figure out how much you have to exaggerate. So butt of the club towards the toe line, and then he felt the club face towards the camera. Butt of the club towards the toe line, club face towards the camera. Then from there, he could just continue turning on up. Butt of the club toe line, club face towards the camera. And those are two pieces that make it a lot easier for the downswing. You know, we talked a couple of different details as we were going that you might want to know as well. He said, hey, when I'm here, left wrist flat, toe in front of the heel. See that the toe's not behind the heel? He also asked about the right arm. I like to see the right arm the same angle as my body lines, not behind it or in front of it. So when I hit this same spot, boom, right there, those are the positions we want the shot. From there, continue turning, get the hands behind the shoulder, and then I can get the club head and shaft under the shoulder coming down. So if you ever want to work with us or work on your swings, send your swings in. Check out cogornogolf.com. Would love to work with you there. If you enjoyed this video, have any questions, comments, leave a comment down below. Consider sharing it with a friend. We'll put a card on the screen, similar backswing style videos. We'll also put the card for Cogorno Golf. We'd love to see you there.